Let's begin with an acknowledgement about something that I suspect every one of you is going to shake your head and say, oh, I know this. And that is narcissists can be bossy. They have all sorts of plans about how you're supposed to live your life, and they are not going to be bashful about letting you know what those plans are. Now, you may have your own separate plans and ideas, and once you put those out there, the narcissist is probably going to be more than happy to explain to you why all of it's wrong, and then to override that and let you know. Now, let me tell you how I think it ought to be. I talked to a woman not too long ago, and she had an elderly mother that she was tending to, and was just one of these kind of people that's just, just really nice. One of the salt of the earth kind of people that you just love to have on your team because she's so pleasant and congenial. And I can only imagine that she was just nothing but wonderful for her mother. She had an older sister who was the strong narcissist, and the older sister was constantly stepping in saying, no, you can't do it this way. You have to do it like this. And I would ask her, well, is that accurate? And she would say, no, she just has her own preferences. And if I don't go according to her specification, she's all over my case. She's been that way all my life. And I asked her, I said, well, what would it be like if you just decided to say, well, I know you have your thoughts, but I'm going to go ahead and proceed with mine nonetheless. And she looked at me like, seriously, I can do that? And it's like, seriously, you can do that. And so many people who've had long-term exposure to that narcissistic kind of individual, it's almost like it's a novel idea for them to think, I'm just going to tell that narcissist, go take a hike, and I can just be what I am. No apologies offered. I remember another woman, and she had a deep family history where both parents, especially the father, were extremely overbearing. I'll do the thinking for you. And so many of the major life decisions for her were already established before she had a chance to even have much of a say in it. And here she was in my office as a middle-aged adult. And she was talking about some certain things that she and her husband were going through, and was just kind of talking about how she had anxiety about making it all happen correctly. And so I just paused and said, let me get an idea. You're talking about something that's frustrating to you. I get the sense that you're trying to fit everybody else's agenda. What do you think? Now, that's a really simple question that a guy like me likes to ask. When I asked that question, what do you think? She just looked at me with this blank stare on her face, and she sat there. And then finally, it's like, nobody's ever asked me that question before. And I thought to myself, how sad. Here you are, you're quite a capable person. So what I did was I asked her, can you just between now and the next time that I meet with you, can you just kind of jot down a few of the common scenarios where you find yourself filtering your feelings or your priorities through everybody else? And let me kind of get an idea of what we're looking at here. Well, the next week she came in and she had 38 scenarios that she had written out. 38. And she said, yeah, I just quit writing because after a while I just got tired of writing. Now, how many of you could say, it may not be quite 38, could say, when that narcissistic person comes along, I find myself just thinking it's not even worth it to try to establish my own separateness because they're constantly trying to make my plans for me. And I want you to understand that when that happens, the narcissist already has a starting point in their mind about who they are and who you are, and then it creates all sorts of negative kind of reactions. And then I want you to see if we can come up with some better alternatives there. As a simple example, the narcissist's starting point, when they are trying to tell you, here are the plans you're supposed to prioritize, their starting point is, hey, I have good news. I know how you're supposed to live your life. That's how they think. Aren't you glad to have me around? And then the next thing that they'll start with is, and also I know how you're supposed to think and feel about all of that. And then their starting point is going to take a little bit more of a negative bent, and they may think something like, if we leave you to your own personal devices, you're just one bucket full of mistakes that's just waiting to happen. You don't have what it takes. Which then also shows you another starting point that they have in their reactions to you, and that is, I just think you're a bungler. Of course, I'm superior, I'm much better. It must be so frustrating for you to be inferior. Let me go ahead and save you from your sorry self. And then another of their starting points is, who cares? And I mean, who cares what you think? That's how they think. And then they also have the notion that says, I'm free to be me, but I don't think you need to think that you're free to be you. The bottom line is, I don't respect you. That's their starting point. Now, knowing that, I want you to begin thinking, and then what are some of your common reactions when they come at you telling you what your plans are supposed to be? Sometimes you can go into the argumentative mode. Who do you think you are telling me what I'm supposed to do? I'm just so sick and tired of all of this. And you kind of go into all the invalidation back toward them. And you know what the narcissist is thinking? Game on, let's do it. And they're just going to come at you with even a larger barrage of insults and condescending statements. Or sometimes it may be that you'll go into a defensive posture. Well, I can explain why I do the things that I do, and you're constantly justifying and rationalizing. Some people, when they're told what to do often enough, they go into an acting out mode. They become rebellious. Nobody's going to tell me what to do, and I'll show you. And then they wind up becoming terribly irresponsible because of that. Sometimes when you're constantly told what to do, you go into a secretive mode. All right, the less you know about me, the better off I'm going to be. And so they hide things and they tell lies and they let you think one thing when in fact they're doing something else. And then that implies that they're going into a phoniness mode. I'll let you agree. Or I'll let you think that I agree with you when in fact I really don't. Some people will go into shutdown mode. And this, of course, happens when people just wind up isolating because of that narcissist. And then they get into depression and anxiety. And we've talked about how narcissistic stress can also have its impact on your body, and it can just wear you out from the inside out. Many times people respond to this bossy narcissist by complaining behind their back. Now, what this implies is they'll say something to someone else, but not to the narcissist, which says they go into suppression mode. And then finally, it could be that part of your reaction is you just go to the place of bitterness and hate and contempt. I just hate it when that person's around. And you wind up being a lesser version of yourself than you really want to be. Now, I mentioned to you that the narcissist has a starting point in terms of the way they think about you, but I want you to think about your starting point as you come to terms with the fact that you have this bossy person and you don't want to have to constantly succumb. What kind of guiding thoughts can you anchor down upon so that their need to make your plans for you is not going to become your game plan, okay? A starting point that you can begin with is this. The narcissist is free to think as he or she deems fit. It's not my job to make them think differently. They are what they are. And all of this bossy stuff, I know it comes with the package, and it's not my job to tell them quit it, because they won't. But then another starting point is, I too am free to do and think as I deem fit. And when you have that notion of your own freedom, it leads to a very good question, and that is, well, if I'm free, then who do I want to be? And I find that to be a good question. Unlike that one lady that I talked with who nobody ever asked her, I want you to ask yourself, what do I think? What do I believe? Now, I'm hoping that as you make your plans that might be separate from the narcissist, that you'd be willing to filter it through three criteria that I find to be most helpful. It's the criteria of ethics and morality and responsibility. If my decisions are ethical, if I'm a moral person, if I have good responsibilities, and if I make my plans according to that, and the narcissist comes along and says, I don't like it, I've got good criteria, and I'm more than happy with that. In addition, I'm hoping that you won't be a secretive kind of person. Many times people are so afraid of the narcissist finding out who they are and how they think and how they're different that they just go into this cover-up mode. Be what you are and say it. Say it out loud. It's like, well, they'll get mad. They're mad anyway. They stay mad. And I'm hoping that you don't have to live under the burden of trying to pretend to be somebody that you really are not. We're going to have another starting point that says also, I'm competent. I'm capable. I have a good mind, and in my mind, I'm able to sift out correct from incorrect. And even when I make mistakes, I'm able to get on my feet and make my corrections as necessary. I feel no need to turn my discussions into a debate about my validity. I'm a valid person. Okay? Now, the narcissist is truly impressed with how they think and how they make plans for you. Okay. Okay, they're impressed with themselves. But you know, your competence and your freedom to be you is not something that's subject to debate. It's not something we're going to vote on, but instead I'm hoping that when the narcissist complains and wails and moans and tries to double down on all of their directions for you, your thought can simply be, oh well. Now, I do hope that you gain benefit from videos such as this, and if you've not already done so, you can go beneath the video here and hit that subscribe button, and we'll keep you apprised of more videos that come along. If you'd like to check out our website, survivingnarcissism.tv, we have quite a few quizzes and articles and videos on there that I think you'll find as an augmentation to what we're doing here on YouTube. If you'd like to check out the people who can help you with online counseling, and many of you like doing that there in your home and you found that to be a beneficial thing, then we have a link below for that. And we even have a link for online at-home testing for issues like low testosterone or thyroid, because I know that sometimes when you're in the presence of a narcissist, it takes its wear and tear on your body, and it helps for you to know your body. In addition, we have links to my online video workshops, my books, and even coffee mugs. Now, just know this. I wish for you goodness. I wish for you decency in the plans that you make. And most importantly, I wish for you goodness and decency that are going to be maintained on your well-conceived terms.